So I want to do a video series on how to get better at the games. This one is about key configuration because that's one of the most important parts, and it's going to take you the longest to change if you do need to change. Now there are some people that use arrow keys, and they use these as their extra buttons and some to the side. This is actually not good because you want as many keys in your vicinity as possible. In PC gaming we have a lot of binds, and that's why we want all these keys around us so we do actually have access to them without having to move our hands at all. And a lot of people use ASD-W, so that puts their fingers like this, and you'll notice I've only got access with my little finger to these over here. That's why I recommend if you're going to do that, use SDF and E. Then you have the little finger over the side here, you got A, Q and Z, then Shift, Caps, Tab, and you can even reach Control. And then on the other side, T, G, B, so you've got all those extra keys over there too, just like the other version, but at least you've got both on both sides that way. The other advantage is if you do need to type to someone and you touch type, your fingers will already be in the right position, ASDF. No matter what keys you set, you will learn them and you will get good with them. So it's important to set the keys that won't hinder your play. For example, if you need to strafe left and move backward, it'd be stupid to set S to strafe left and then X as back, because that's the same finger using that. Next, your movement isn't going to be random or based only on reactions. We learn patterns. I worked this out when I actually changed my config. I would do things like change a gun, move to the right and aim accordingly. And changing the keys meant I had to relearn which fingers needed to be used to do that. I knew what to do, I knew how to do it, but I didn't have the muscle memory. So once you have your config set up, you'll need about a month to fully adjust. Now, how do you think I move forward? W? No, I'm from the old school, so I actually use mouse 2. So that's crazy, right? Why would you use mouse 2 as forward? There's actually a very good reason for it. I'd actually say it's better to have all the movement keys ready to access without having to move your fingers from your default position. So jumping in game, left, right, back, forward, left, right, back, forward, left, right, back, forward. They're right there whenever I need them, and I can do all these crazy strafe patterns because it's no problem. And putting in forward and back inside that strafing, if I want to attack, I can. No problems either way. And that's the sign of a good configuration. Even if it sounds weird to you, if people can actually pull off the moves and do all the cool movements and dodging patterns and all that, it's a good configuration. There's no arguing with results. And I think it actually gives me a bit more control over the mouse using mouse 2 as forward. I forward a lot, and I'm also hitting back when I need to, like there. If I need to go back like there too. So there's a lot of key presses. I'm getting a lot of control with the mouse because I do have the middle finger right on the button there. And most importantly, I can pull off the moves and I'm not hindered by my key configuration at all. So what's the next most important thing when I'm rocket jumping around? Jump. So I need to finger right on that too. Some people use space. I find I jump too much for that. It is too loud, too big, too heavy. So I need a smaller key for that. Which one do I use? A. So my movement is A for jump, S for left, D for backward, F for right, mouse 2 forward. So that means I've got all the fingers right where they need to be. I don't have to move anything. I can just rocket jump around without any hindrance or awkwardness at all. My fingers are already there, right where I type as well. So I'm very comfortable in that position. You don't duck too often when jumping, so I've put Z as my duck key. A is jump, Z is duck. It's the same finger, and that just means that I'm not hindering my movement or abilities because you just don't need to duck when you're jumping. And if you do, you've got that split second where you can actually move the finger without losing any movement potential. That's the core configuration. These 4 keys and mouse 2. What I have bound space to is zoom, because I need to be able to zoom in without hindering my movement at all. And what's the only finger that's not in use? Well, if you can call it a finger, the thumb. The thumb is out of the way, right down low, and it can't actually hit any other keys, so space is its only option. So having zoom on space means I can zoom in and then move around just as I was before with all the strafing tactics that I needed. No hindrance again. Now the next most important thing is weapon switching, because you don't use just the one weapon, especially in Quake where we constantly do weapon combos. The 3 major weapons in Quake are rocket launcher, lightning gun and railgun. So I've put them on my major fingers. These are the strongest ones, the middle ones. W for rocket, E for lightning, R for rail. Now, as I was saying earlier, you can hinder yourself by using the same finger to get to another key, so I can't actually change to rocket and strafe left at the same time. But because in a rocket battle, you can just strafe right or pre-plan it, it's no big deal. They're not going to be able to guess when you're going to change to a weapon, or they're not going to see which way you're going to be strafing in that time. And same goes for rail, I can't actually change to the sniper weapon as I'm going right. Again, that's not that important, it's never been a problem. That split second that it takes me to actually change to rail would never be seen in a strafing pattern. They're never going to say, hey, Zai's going to go right because he's about to change to rail, get him. It just doesn't happen. The only important one that I've said here is D is moving back, changing to lightning gun. You generally don't move backward when you've got the lightning gun out because it is a mid-range to close range weapon. So when I'm changing to that, it's very rare that I'll be moving backward. I'll usually be moving forward. So this applies to Quake, but you can apply these same principles to the games that you're playing. So just ask yourself, when you are switching weapon or when you are moving in a certain direction, can you do everything that you need to do? And is it actually stopping you from playing better? I then have my secondary weapons on Q, T, G, V, C, X. Quake actually has about 14 weapons all up, so I have to bind a few to the mouse as well. But in the main game, we're using about 9 weapons or so. So I hope that helps you think differently with your config. If you are going to change to what I'm using, I'll leave my keys in the description for you. But be warned, it will take your brain at least a month to adjust to them. During the month, you will be terrible. Trust me, I've done it 3 times now, always looking at improving my config, and it's really helped, it's totally worth it, but it was a very frustrating 1 or 2 months where I really had to settle in again. Now that I've done it and I'm used to it, I love it. Everything is working brilliantly, I can move around very easily, and I'm actually playing better than I was, say, a few years ago. But configuration is a personal thing, it's going to depend on the games you're playing and how you want to play them. So the main principle I want you to take away from this is make sure your movement isn't hindered. Don't put a strafe key on a finger that's going to be needing to move back as well. Only bind the keys to weapons that aren't going to hinder your movement as well. And as a final bonus point, inverted mouse. Which one do I use? Forward looks down, back looks up. The reason we do this is kind of like fighter pilots. How do you turn the plane down? You push the nose forward. How do you pull it back up? Well, you pull back. Which one's right? Either. You can get used to either and it'll feel the same. There's no right or wrong, it is just personal preference. And as I said, you can't argue with the results. The fact that I can rocket jump around like I do with inverted mouse means that is perfectly fine. So that's it. Any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. For more gaming related videos, please subscribe and hit the like button. And it's a work in progress, but please check out my website that I've just put up. It's rocketjumpninja.com. Over the next year, I'm going to build it up as a resource for mice and gaming related content. So hopefully you find that helpful too. So thanks for watching. My name is Zai, but you can call me Rocket or Ninja, I don't really mind. And I'll catch you in the next video.